clearly who we are, what we want, why we are challenged, what we struggle with, I think in the long run is really freeing, but it's kind of a frightening thing to deal with to some degree.
Well, and he talks about how a lot of us have our foot on the brake. And really, why is that? And a lot of times I think that comes because we think about what is the cost of success. Even though it's something we all think we want, are we worthy of that? Is that something that we should, be able to attain? Those types of things.
Can I add one too, Stacy?
Yes.
This book helped me realize that I never realized consciously that was a fear that I had. Is I realized that I was uncomfortable with the fact that, like, the more and more successful I became, it made certain members of my family uncomfortable and certain of my friends uncomfortable. I'll just say in general, I think that you don't know how they're going to respond. And some of them I've seen, like, it makes them uncomfortable. And so even if I'm not like pushing Plexus on them, but for them, like, to see us succeeding in something that they don't understand, like, makes our relationship different, so that I realized that was one of my whole setups, something that was holding me back.
Absolutely. Can anyone else think of some reason why you might have your foot on the brake, some fear that you have? Because, I think especially as women, a lot of times we're not, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Totally forgot my thought. But sometimes, go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, I realized with the Plexus products, because where I came from, in the beginning when I first heard about Plexus to where I am now, and then reading the book with Tamara's group, is we get comfortable with that negative self-talk. We get comfortable saying, oh, I'm broke, I can't buy that this week, or oh, it's fun to complain about our cold with everyone else at work that has a cold. You get into that comfort zone of, I'm a hot mess, it gets me attention, or like Whitney said, if I succeed, how are people going to react to me? They're not, they're going to completely be negative, be like, oh, you don't deserve that. And you convince yourself you don't deserve that, and you get in that comfortable place where you don't want to change it. And now that I'm not participating in the, oh, I'm so sick, or oh, my allergies, I realize that's not a cool place to be, even though at the time it sounded like a cool place to be, and that's really sad.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else have some thoughts about that piece of it?
I have one. Sorry, I'm driving, so I have my picture on. But I think that for someone like me, mine was always like, well, I can't do my IPAs today because I need to spend time with my kids. Or I was so busy today, now I need to be a good wife and spend time with my husband. Yes. And really, when I got down to the point where I was like, look, this is what my day's going to look like, and I had to make time for myself and my IPAs and my business and stop using those excuses. I think that I was using them as my why and my why not.
Yeah, and I think we as wives and mothers, we do that a lot too. Like we feel like we aren't able to give the time that we might need, when in reality we can plan that out. Bernita had said, I have so many close family and friends who are such naysayers, and I know it gets into my subconscious. I've had to bless and release some friends. And I still think that, no matter how, for me, my family is actually probably my toughest critics. And so as much as I'd like to say that I'm blessing and releasing, I'm still sure that now, as I've kind of come to understand this, is part of my subconscious. It's part of what's kind of holding me back, because again, there's not that expectation of success, or there's not those cheerleaders in my immediate family, not my husband and children, but like my parents and those types of people. So I think that certainly is a part of, that part that's holding me back. And so again, talking about that foot on the brake, he just talked about when we actually start to panic when we experience success, and our why not to start screaming at us. again, possibly not something that we're even aware that is happening. But I love having now that awareness that I could certainly be, again, I guess, sabotaging myself and my success for whatever the reasons are. So other thoughts that you might have?
One thought that I keep thinking about is when he talks about turning the lights off and rearranging the furniture.
Yes.
Well, before I got challenged, I think that's what I was doing, was I was trying to do everything in the dark. Because you can't see it doesn't mean you can't do it. And so for me, I couldn't really see it for me, but that doesn't mean that I can't do it. And when he did it with the rearranging the furniture in the dark, it really made me think about that a lot.
And so when you're talking about that, Larry, it makes me think about like the big picture. And a lot of times, and maybe I'm off on this, but I think a lot of times until you can kind of get that big picture, it is hard to feel like you're not in the dark. So when you're able to attend things, corporate just put out our calendar of events, and that to me is where I go and get my big picture of what the possibilities are, whether it's through product use, whether it's through the business, the relationships and how important those are. That certainly is something that I think we all can benefit from, because it does help us to kind of see more clearly.
It turns the light on for us.
Absolutely. Other thoughts about chapter 1? I mean, really, those were the big things, just talking about the why to's and the why not to's, talking about, and truly, I mean, an amazing aha moment for me that I have to reprogram. And like Janelle was saying, I have to reprogram my subconscious, because again, I would tell you I'm a fairly confident person. I've just always moved forward in this business. But I kept, and I've even talked with Whitney about this, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, like something is holding me back, and I have no idea. Like, I truly had no idea what it was. And I read chapter 1 of this book and went, okay, that's what it is. It's myself talking to myself, and apparently I'm not saying great things. And so I really appreciated that part of it. I had like 4 pages of notes, and that went really super quick. So let me see if I missed anything.
You did great, Stacy. I feel like there's not a lot of conversation in this chapter because he takes a while just introducing the whole concept. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I'm finding that it's just taking me a while to get this concept down. I think the why not to's, that internal subconscious part of who we are, is so subtle. It's like insidious. It's always there. It's always undermining. It's always poking its head up here and there, but not to where we actually identify it. And so what this has done, it's kind of made me aware that I always have to be very consciously aware of the why to's as well as the why not to's. I have to be just as consciously aware of the things that undermine, that have been there probably for a very long time in my subconscious, and be very aware of how they're impacting. I love that statement. It says a feeling is a result, not a cause. And trying to understand where the feelings come from will help us to be able to respond to them better.
Also, Amy, since you mentioned that it's taken a while for this to sink in, has anyone finished the book yet?
No.
Okay, when you get to the end, he tells you to go back and read it again at least more times.
This is my second time, and I have to say thank you for doing this, because I don't know that I said I was going to read it again, but I don't know if I really would have finished reading it again, because other things would have gotten me off in a totally different track. So thank you.
Yeah, but by the time you hit the end and he tells you, now I'm going to tell you to go back and read this at least 2 more times, because that's the minimum of what it really takes to train your brain. Like this takes repetition. So when you said that, Amy, like, yeah, it's right. This is going to take practice, and it's not like a one-time through and you're there.
Well, it's not even just the reading of the book. The reading of the book is pretty easy. You know, as Stacy mentioned, it's a pretty easy read. I think you can pick up the concepts pretty easily. It's the exercises that are the killer. I mean, you have to dig so deep and you have to do a lot of work. That's what's really been holding me up in going through it quickly, is because I don't want to lose each concept. I want to be able to really grasp it and integrate it and apply it through the exercises that are there.
Yeah, I
Go
had.
ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Vinny.
I had mine on audio and I finished it, and then he said read it again, and I just ordered it from Amazon so that I can actually do the exercises and stuff. So
That's what I did.
I was just going to say is like, you know, going back over this chapter about like the subconscious, and sometimes I feel like, and I don't know if anyone else has this problem, is that, you know, we have our fears, but we don't really want to either admit it or we don't really know that they're really there. That's why there are subconscious ones. And I feel like I'm having the hardest time like recognizing and trying to actually figuring it out, because I don't know if I want to admit it, which is just kind of like again, another fear, a scared fear to be like, why would I be scared of being successful? Like that sounds so ridiculous. Like everyone should want to be successful, but why are we so fearful of it? And why is this all happening? And so I feel like this beginning of this chapter is reminding you, like, we have these subconscious fears that we may not even know that are there. And that through this whole process is like when we can recognize them. And that's the reason why I think it's so important to read it multiple times, because I think different times in your life, you're going to constantly have different fears that come up and different things that happen in your life that may cause fears that can hold you back. So this book is probably going to be like a book that we're going to need to read probably once a year, or, you know, a couple times a year, or constantly reading it, because these fears are going to slowly come in because experiences happen in our life, you know, our families grow, it changes, things like that. So that's just something I was like thinking about when I first read that chapter again.
Well, I agree. And I think that, you know, fears, a lot of those ones that have been in our subconscious for quite a while, they are deeply embedded. And, you know, the very first step is just to acknowledge it, to be like, whoa, oh, you know, oh, is that what that was? So you acknowledge it. It doesn't mean it goes away. It just means that it's kind of brought out into the light. I think it takes a lot of work and it takes time to really be able to uproot it and then to replace it with something different. Because if you don't replace it, it's just going to fester there and it'll keep, you know, rearing its ugly head. So I think the acknowledgement of the why not tos, the fears, those things that have been kind of lurking in our subconscious, the acknowledgement is really only the first step. And then you have to get to work. And I think it takes a while to really address them thoroughly and then to replace them with something else.
And I guess, you know, just another thought that I have, and it's not necessarily about chapter 1, but I am so appreciating what I have read so far in this book, because I kind of was in a, again, not necessarily realizing it, but in a rut. You know, in a rut with my relationship with my husband, in a rut with my, you know, exercise and doing the things that I needed to do. And so, you know, whether it's the affirmations that I'm saying to myself or, you know, something that I've read in here, it certainly has flipped a switch for me to where I'm doing some of the things that I had kind of put on hold for whatever those reasons might be. And so I just appreciate that piece of it as well. Anything else that you would like to add about chapter 1?
We have a lot of people that haven't pitched in yet, guys. Come on. Let's hear from some of you that haven't spoken up yet. Renee, Lacey, Gigi, Becky.
I'm just loving it because it's a whole new twist on anything I've read before. I mean, I've been to lots of women's retreats and couples retreats, and they talk about the affirmations and saying positive things. But this turns it into a question, and that's different than anything I've ever heard before. So I think it'll be huge for us.
I love what he says about affirmations. When you say the affirmations, your brain doesn't really believe it anyway. And so the affirmations, I'll get it.
Yeah, Whitney. Hey there. Can you guys hear me with my Bluetooth?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good.
Okay. Shelf help books. How about like a chest full of them, right, Whitney? So this book was just, I don't know. I can't wait till we get to chapter 4 because that's gonna be a fun one. But yeah, so I mean, I agree with y'all. When we get going on more of the other chapters, it's gonna be fun.
There's going to be tears shed. And that's a good thing, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, shall we close it off? I think we had some good discussion, and I feel so bad. I forgot to hit record in the beginning, so I didn't get the recording going until like 10 minutes in, but we still got a lot of good conversation on here. So thank you, Stacy, for doing that for us. And do you want to go ahead and pick someone to do next week? Can you see who's all on here?
I can.
Oh, wait, Janelle's up next week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to chime in.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stacy, for stepping up.
I picked Janelle.
I feel bad because my husband's gone and my kids, I just didn't want to like commit to doing it today because I was pretty sure they were.
We totally understand. But I forgot you said I'll do the following week, and then I just remembered. I was like, oh, wait, hang on.
Yeah. I'm hiding in my room right now with my lights off.
Okay. Well, maybe, Janelle, why don't you pick someone for chapter 3 the following week? We can even go 2 weeks out, so you guys have plenty of time to study.
Amy, do you want to do it? I don't think she's done one, have you?
No.
Yay!
All right.
Awesome.
We'll do chapter 3.
So I'll do 3?
Yeah, I'll do 2
Okay.
next week.
Okay.
Okay, awesome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining in. I love you guys. This is going to make all the difference. I'm so proud of you for taking the time to do this because I honestly believe with all my heart this book and these exercises will make a bigger difference in getting you guys where you want to be and further and beyond than you can even see right now than anything we've ever done.
Can I just show you quickly? My puppy got a hold of my book and I'm super bummed. But my color book
is valuable.
My color book, he ripped it all apart. So I don't even have that as a shelf help book anymore. But this one, I've got to keep up because I'm a little mad at him right now.
Oh, geez. Spank him with it. All right, everyone, have a great night. Thanks. Love to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.